Hey strong people, Kalle, Beck here from StartingStrongman.com with World's Strongest Man Day 3 update. In Day 3, the Heats either did an arm over arm pull, where you're seated and you're pulling like this, into like this, or a bus pull with a harness and a rope, more the traditional style truck pull that fans are used to. Depending on which group they're in, they did one of the events. The arm over arm, the locals said they pulled two jeepneys, which look kind of like a tour bus, small one, like, if you're doing like local tourism kind of thing. Don't know what they're for. And it looked really hard. I believe only 2 athletes finished it. I'll confirm that in a bit. And then the other groups, I think 3 groups did the arm over arm and 2 did the bus pull, but that could be flip-flopped. Anyways, the bus pull looked easier with just about everyone finishing it. So it's one of those things where, if you get certain events in your heat, and, I've discussed previously why they're different, it's more to, keep it interesting on TV. You're going to have, like, some people are going to be better at arm over arm than they're at bus pull and vice versa, and that could affect how they make it into the finals. Not necessarily that they're the best athletes for those events in the finals. So that's another reason why I think that the heats are antiquated. Get rid of them. Just have every athlete, basically, all 30 of these guys compete against each other to do, over 12 events or so, over 6-7 days. They're already out there for 10 days. They're already doing that many events between the heats and the finals. So just score them all together. And something that would be interesting, because you're going to see, you have to be way more well-rounded of a strength athlete. Let's remember the athlete part in strength athletes. People seem to forget that. World's Strongest Man this year has really shown with some of the old school events like, a sandbag into a farmer's medley, a Conan's wheel, some more kettlebell toss, that, you need to be. Some of the old timers are doing really well just because they're more used to these events. They've done them for longer. They're more proficient in them. Where the current trend of strongman is basically like powerlifting, but replace bench press with a log press and throw in a straight shot yoke run and a stone series at the end, and we'll call it good. But we're seeing it's a lot more dynamic events, in my opinion, fun to watch. I know people disagreeing with me, but it doesn't matter. But interesting thing in Heat 1, which is the Hafthor group, Hafthor Julius Bjornsson, he got last place in the arm over arm. He posted on his Instagram that sometimes you try different things and sometimes it doesn't work out, then you learn. He said a lot of athletes were tearing up their hands, so he used gloves and it threw him off, and he had I believe the second worst time or distance. He only pulled it 12 meters. I think it was 25. I think it was a 30-meter course, which is a little longer than normal. So he had, and he messed up and he got 1 point. So if we combined all those events, and he's doing that, and he got close to last out of everyone in one event. Think about how that would affect it as who's going to be World's Strongest Man, because I still think he's going to win. There's no arm over arm pull in the finals, so I think he's still the favorite to win. He just made a mistake, and he had won all 3 previous events, so he's still in first place, and he's in a position to be able to make mistakes like that. But if these were all scored together, they had to do an arm over arm and a bus pull. That could really shake things up, and I think would make for some good television as well, because at the end of the day, that's what they're looking to do. Oh, and another note, I said yesterday that we will never see, or highly unlikely we'll ever see, a World's Strongest Man live stream. And what happens the next day? The next day, we see the Philippines, the Tourism Board of the Philippines on Facebook live streams a couple of the arm over arm pulls. So what do I know? But in my point, I keep seeing these comments on these videos that the World's Strongest Man organizers are leaving millions of dollars on the table by not live streaming it. There's a free live stream on Facebook, and there was like 30 people watching. They're not leaving millions of dollars on the table. I mean, my job is reporting on Strongman and training people for Strongman, and I'd love for it to be different, not the case in anyone else, but the sport is not big enough, and there's not a big enough fan base to support that model at this point. It's just not the case. Even big shows that had a live stream previously, they don't anymore because they lost money doing it. There's so much more production and everything that goes into having a live stream event versus just filming it for tape later. The model's worked for 40 years. It's the biggest thing in strength sports and continues to do so. I'd rather see it live. It was cool to see those couple clips, but we can keep complaining. And one thing of note is that Worlds, you have to commend them in this fact that there's a lot better coverage this year. They're utilizing social media better. They're putting stuff in their Instagram stories, including Gregor Edmonds sitting with his naked ass sitting on Eddie Hall's face. Don't know if that's good for the sport or not, but check it out on the World's Strongest Man Instagram stories, or I'm sure you can find the picture somewhere if you're into that. But he might get pink eye from this. So it wasn't, the World's Strongest Man, they tied him down in a stretcher to test it to see if it could hold 400 pounds. I think they're doing it, and Gregor Edmonds, who I think is in charge of some equipment testing or something. Pretty sure it was him. If not, sorry, of course, Douglas Edmonds' son. Pretty much teabagged him. It was pretty bad. It was this close. There's a different angle. This close. Anyway, so yeah, Thor gets last in Group 1. And Payman won the group, making up big points. And now we're getting in, it's very close in Group 1 between, pretty much everyone else in that group, but Rob Kearney is still in it, but he does have his best event coming up. He has 7 points. Belsack's probably 13 or 14. Lawless is still in second, I think, with 15 or 16, and Big Law's Lawrence Chalet and with 15, Payman and 14. So really comes down to the log lift. I think it was 100, and I think it's like 330ish for reps. It could be any of those guys who ends up in the stone against each other. I'm thinking it ends up being, I think Lawless is going to make up some points. I mean, not Lawless. I think Big Laws and Lawless end up in a stone off as most likely, but it could. Belsack's going to make up points in that. He could be in it. It'd be fun to see him get a little bit of redemption in the stones when compared to what he did in the Last Man Standing last year. In Heat 2, we saw it was Johnny Hansen of Sweden with, I believe, the fastest time in the arm-over-arm pull of the day. He looked absolutely incredible. You can check that out on his Instagram. It's Handsome Hansen. I like it. He looked great. He showed good technique. A lot of people realize that you can tell that they haven't done this event very much. And it's a great test of strength, great test of grip, back, athleticism, being able to bring the rope in and have fluid movement. Used to watch Magnus Samuelsson absolutely crush it, back in the day. I think it was one of the few events that Mariusz Pudzianowski was not all that great at. Doesn't favor the shorter athletes. Then, let's see what else happened here. Yeah, and then most everyone else in the group just got a distance on it. Yeah, Johnny Hansen did it in 49 seconds. I believe Mark Felix did it in about 58 in his group. So yeah, distances. Sorry. Dirks did 17 meters. Brian Shaw did 20 meters and stopped, is how it was reported. So he still has 21 points. And it looks like in second place overall, Adam Bishop, he lost a couple points in there, but he still is soundly in second with 17 or 18 points, depending on how things went, with Johan Els with 15 or 16. They're likely going to, depending on how this dumbbell medley goes, the other scores are 13 for Hansen and 12 for Dirks. I don't know how everyone is in the dumbbell. I believe Adam Bishop's pretty good at it. Dirks looks good at it. Of course, Brian Shaw is good at the dumbbell. But most likely after that, we're going to see, Bishop and Els going head-to-head in the Atlas Stone Series to see who makes the finals, along with Brian Shaw. We did have that report that Bishop had a injured left bicep, so we will see if that affects him in the Atlas Stones. It hasn't seemed to affect him, so I'm going to think that that whole thing was overblown, and he healed up just fine. In Heat 3, this is, in my opinion, the most interesting heat of the day. People are counting out Big Z. Going into the day, there was a four-way tie for first place with Zydrunas Savickas in second, 2 points behind. They had a bus pole, and Zydrunas Savickas won the bus pole. I believe the second fastest time of the day with the heats that had a bus pole. And so now he was only 1 point out of first place. Robert Oberst got second. So Robert Oberst is currently in first place with 17 points, with Zydrunas Savickas and Brian Benzel, who got third in the bus pole with 16 points, and going into the log lift. And we have an incredible lineup of log pressers. We have Zydrunas Savickas, Robert Oberst, Benzel's good. Graham Hicks might be the most efficient at this kind of weight log for reps in the world. Graham Hicks got last in the truck pull, so he has some points to make up. Luke Stoltman still has 14 points. But this really comes down, in my opinion, between can Robert Oberst, who I know since he started has wanted to challenge Zydrunas Savickas to be one. He wants the log means a lot to him. He's really good at it. In December at the Giants Live Finals, he was only 1 point off, 1 rep off of Zydrunas in a similar log lift event. He's only gotten stronger. Zydrunas, I don't think, looks quite as good. Could Obi place higher than Z or tie him in this event to end up in first place? I think one of those two ends up in first. The most likely is Zydrunas, because we have to go off 20 plus years of strength history saying that he doesn't, if it all comes down to an event, he usually wins if he's still in the hunt. And it's the log lift. It's his most famous lift. Likely he wins that. We could end up with a tie. And with how this works, with first place advancing and second and third having to do an Atlas Stone face-off to see who wins, how do ties work? I've gotten this question a ton, and I don't know. I'm going to assume it's countbacks on first place finishes, and that would not suit Oberst well, because he's in first place currently by having 3 second place finishes. Z won the bus pole, and if Oberst doesn't make it into the finals, it would most likely be because Z won the log lift. So I think Z would advance, and we're likely to see Savickas. And then we're likely to see Oberst versus Benzel, the two Americans, in the Atlas Stone to see who wins that. So that's a really interesting group, but it could be any which way. It's still anyone's game, and it's going to play out really well on television, I believe. In Heat 4, we have the ageless wonder, Mark Felix, winning the arm-over-arm pull, the only athlete in his group to finish it. He finished it just in time. He showed great technique, taking advantage of his, great grip strength and, his back strength, and, at 1, 2, he is 1 point off of Martins. He's in second place with 20 points. Martins is in first with 21. I expect Felix to lose points in the dumbbell. Overhead pressing has never been his strength. I think dumbbell might be the best out of all of those, possibly. Viking press probably more so, but out of log and dumbbell, I think that's his best case scenario. But even if he gets last place, I don't think he's going to drop past third. So it looks like, if we're going through this, JF Cron has either 14 or 15 points. So we're going to see a injured, not 100% JF Cron versus Mark Felix in the stone off. Felix is a great stone loader. Karan's a beast of a stone loader, but with he had that hip flexor issue a couple days ago in the Conan's wheel. Is Karan at 85%, whatever he is, good enough to beat Mark Felix head-to-head in Atlas stones when Felix is looking incredible? In Heat 5, the bus pole, as I and others speculated, Shivlikov lost some points here. He got 5th place. He's not the best at bus pole. He's one of the lighter, smaller competitors. Kilkowski, huge surprise, ends up. Kilkowski, the huge surprise, ends up in 1st place. Terry Hollins shows up and has his first real good showing of the day, getting 2nd with 39 seconds, which I think, that's just slightly slower than Zadrunas. Nick Best had a good time, 42. Everyone was right in there. Janashi had 39. So going into it, Kilkowski has overtaken Shivlikov for the lead with 20 points compared to 18. And Janashia has 17 with the dumbbell. We need to see, going into today, what day is it? Day 4. It just remains to be seen if Kilkowski, his tricep and his shoulder issue he suffered from is not going to affect him in overhead events, but I think I'm going to say it won't in this dumbbell medley. And it looks like he's going to end up winning the group with Shivlikov versus Janashia. The guy with the huge traps. Someone needs to get to the bottom, find out how he was born that way. Wink. With 18 and 17, they're probably going to do the stone off. I still believe Shivlikov beats Janashia head-to-head in stones, which is a travesty. Because I'd like their, at least, even if they're going to continue with the heats, they should give a ranking 1 through 30 to all these guys, even if it's just there's 5 guys sitting around and they go, okay, we ranked them, they're this, so that there's some rhyme or reason why people are grouped together. But one of those athletes, all of those athletes could be top 5 finishers in the finals, in my opinion, and one of them is not going to be in the finals. I think Janashia has very good events in the finals, and I think he's going to miss out. But even if Shivlikov misses out, they all deserve to be in. Going into today, day 4, the athletes are going to be doing either a dumbbell medley where it's ascending weights up, or a log lift for reps where they have to clean each rep. It's around 150. I think it's 330 or it's 352. I think which would be 160 kilos for the log. I don't know what the weights end up on the dumbbell. First place in each group advances straight to the finals. Then 2nd and 3rd do an Atlas Stone series against each other to see who joins them in the finals. They take a couple days break, then the finals happen. Thanks for watching. Kalle Beck. For all the latest information, go to startingstrongman.com. Follow Starting Strongman on Instagram, at Starting Strongman. You can follow me, at Let Kalle Lift. And this is exciting. I think the Philippines has been a great venue so far. And please hit subscribe, share these videos, and I'll keep doing them and do my best to keep you informed.